Today, we need to talk about a serious event that's shaken our country to its core. In recent days, headlines have been dominated by a controversy that's left many Americans feeling anxious, divided, and uncertain about what comes next. This isn't just another news cycle. This is a moment that could have lasting consequences for our nation's future. At the center of this storm is Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States. Trump is a figure who has always commanded attention, whether you support him or not. Known for his direct, often confrontational style, he's shaped the political landscape in ways few leaders ever have. His words and actions carry enormous weight, influencing millions of people both in America and around the world. The latest controversy began when a group of Democratic lawmakers released a video that quickly went viral. The video criticized Trump's recent policies and questioned his leadership. In response, Trump took to social media with an explosive post, igniting a firestorm of debate and outrage. The back and forth between lawmakers and the president has only intensified, with each side accusing the other of undermining democracy. In his post, Trump didn't just push back. He accused these lawmakers of committing serious crimes, even using language that suggested they could face the death penalty. This kind of rhetoric is rare, even in the heated world of American politics, and it's raised alarm bells among legal experts, politicians, and everyday citizens alike. What's happening here goes far beyond political drama. It's about the power of words, the safety of our elected leaders, and the very health of our democracy. When the president uses such charged language, it can have real-world consequences, fueling anger, deepening divisions, and even putting people's lives at risk. When a president publicly accuses opponents of treason and talks about the death penalty, it sends shockwaves through our political system. These are not just words. They're signals that can embolden supporters, intimidate critics, and change the tone of our national conversation. This incident forces all of us to take a hard look at the language we use, the divisions we face, and the responsibilities that come with leadership. It's a reminder that our words matter, especially when spoken from the highest office in the land. The country is watching, and the world is too. In the next sections, we'll break down exactly what happened, what was said, and why it matters so much right now. We'll look at the timeline of events, the key players involved, and the broader context that led to this explosive moment. We'll examine the video that sparked the conflict, analyze Trump's exact words, and explore the reactions from lawmakers, political figures, and the public. We'll also consider how social media has amplified the controversy and what it means for our democracy. We'll also explore the legal background of military orders and the concept of treason, which are central to this debate. Understanding the law is crucial to making sense of the accusations and the potential consequences. By understanding these events, we can have a more thoughtful, informed conversation about leadership, accountability, and the need for respect in our politics. Let's dive in and try to make sense of what just happened and what it means for all of us. The story begins with a video released on November 18, 2025, a date that would soon become the focus of national conversation. The video appeared online and quickly spread across social media platforms, drawing immediate attention from both the public and the press. It was not just another political message, it was something different, something that resonated deeply with viewers across the country. The video featured 6 Democratic lawmakers, each of whom had served their country in the military or intelligence community. These were not just politicians, but individuals who had first-hand experience with the responsibilities and sacrifices of service. Senators Elissa Slotkin and Mark Kelly, along with Representatives Chris DeLucio, Maggie Goodlander, Chrissy Houlihan, and Jason Crow, spoke directly to current service members. Each of them brought a unique perspective, shaped by their own time in uniform and their ongoing commitment to public service. Their message was clear and unwavering. Remember your oath to the Constitution above all else. They reminded viewers that the oath taken by every service member is a solemn promise, one that transcends politics and personal beliefs. The tone of the video was serious and measured. It was not a campaign ad, nor was it designed to attack any individual or party. Instead, it aimed to reinforce a fundamental principle, that duty to country and the rule of law must always come before loyalty to any one person, even in turbulent times. Released by Senator Slotkin's office, the video quickly gained national attention. News outlets across the spectrum covered the story, and it set off a political firestorm, sparking debate about the role of the military in upholding democratic values. The lawmakers wanted to remind service members that their ultimate commitment is to the laws and ideals of the United States. In a time of uncertainty, their words served as a powerful reminder of the enduring values that bind the nation together. This message, delivered by veterans who had themselves sworn the same oath, was meant as a nonpartisan call to uphold the Constitution. It was a plea for unity, integrity, and fidelity to the principles that define American democracy. So, what did the lawmakers actually say? Their core message: military and intelligence personnel swear an oath to the Constitution, not to any politician, including the president. They urged service members to refuse illegal orders, emphasizing that following the law is a legal and ethical duty. The lawmakers didn't mention Trump by name, but the context was clear. They were concerned about the possibility of unlawful orders from the top. Their tone was one of responsibility, not rebellion. They reminded troops that true patriotism means upholding the law and the Constitution. This was a civics lesson from veterans to those currently serving. But this call to uphold the law would soon be twisted into an accusation of treason. President Trump's response was immediate and incendiary. On Truth Social, he accused the 6 lawmakers of sedition and suggested their actions were punishable by death. He reposted a supporter's message, "Hang them, George Washington would." Trump called for the lawmakers to be locked up, labeling them traitors. This was unprecedented, a sitting president publicly suggesting execution for members of Congress. In a radio interview, Trump claimed he wasn't threatening death, but doubled down, saying, "In the old days, it was death." His words blurred the line between political rhetoric and incitement. For many, this was a direct signal that these lawmakers were enemies of the state. The situation quickly escalated from a debate about legal duties to a life-and-death confrontation. The power of the president's words had never felt more dangerous. The 6 lawmakers responded with both condemnation and unwavering defiance. As the threats against them escalated, they made it clear that intimidation would not silence their voices or deter them from their duties. Their resolve only grew stronger in the face of danger, and they stood united, determined to uphold the principles of democracy. They issued a joint statement, declaring, "No threat or call for violence will deter us from upholding the Constitution." This message was not just for their supporters, but for the entire nation, a reminder that the rule of law must prevail, even in turbulent times. The threats quickly became tangible. Senator Slotkin, for example, received such an overwhelming number of violent messages that the Capitol Police had no choice but to assign her 24-hour protection. The sense of danger was no longer abstract, it was present in their daily lives. Representative Crow's office took immediate action, formally requesting an investigation into the surge of threats that followed Trump's inflammatory posts. Staffers worked overtime, fielding calls and documenting incidents, as the atmosphere in congressional offices grew tense and vigilant. For these lawmakers, the stakes were deeply personal. They weren't just defending their reputations, they were fighting to protect their own lives, as well as the safety of their families and dedicated staff members. The threats extended beyond politics, touching every aspect of their daily existence. In public statements and private meetings, they expressed profound concern for the future of American democracy. They argued that no president, regardless of party, should ever resort to violent language or incite hostility against political opponents. Such rhetoric, they warned, undermines the very foundation of the nation. To them, Trump's attacks were more than personal insults. They represented a direct assault on the democratic process itself, threatening the norms and values that hold the country together. In America, political opponents are not enemies or traitors. The lawmakers emphasized that violence and intimidation have no place in our national discourse. Instead, they called for a return to civility, respect, and peaceful debate. Their response was a powerful stand for the values of open debate and disagreement, choosing dialogue over threats and courage over fear. In this moment, the stakes had never been higher. The actions of these lawmakers would help determine not just their own safety, but the future of American democracy itself. The Republican Party's response revealed deep divisions. The White House press secretary defended Trump, denying he called for executions, but suggesting the Democrats' video was dangerous. Some Republicans criticized Trump's language, but validated his anger, saying he was just defining sedition. Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune disagreed with Trump's rhetoric, but also criticized the Democrats' video. Few directly condemned Trump's threats, focusing instead on political fallout. This cautious approach showed Trump's strong hold over his party. The failure to unite against violent rhetoric risks normalizing it in American politics. At the heart of this conflict is the concept of lawful and unlawful orders in the military. The Uniform Code of Military Justice requires service members to obey lawful orders, but also to refuse patently illegal ones. Illegal orders include those that violate the Constitution or the law, like interfering with elections or arresting opponents without cause. This principle, reinforced after World War II, is core to military ethics. Loyalty is to the law, not to any person. The lawmaker's video simply reminded troops of this duty. Trump and his allies saw it as insubordination. The lawmakers saw it as upholding the law. This clash of interpretations is central to the entire dispute. This incident is part of a larger trend of rising political violence in America. The country is deeply polarized, and threats against public officials have become alarmingly common. In recent years, both Trump and other political figures have been targets of violence, fueling a cycle of fear and retaliation. High-profile attacks like the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the killing of a Minnesota lawmaker have shocked the nation. An overwhelming majority of Americans now believe political violence is on the rise. In this climate, Trump's words about treason and death are especially dangerous. They risk sparking more violence in a country already on edge. That's why so many saw his rhetoric as reckless and alarming. What can we learn from this? Words from leaders have immense power. They can unite or divide, inspire or incite. When leaders use terms like traitor and death penalty, it dehumanizes opponents and invites conflict. Democracy depends on peaceful debate, not threats. Our leaders must act with restraint and wisdom, and we must demand a higher standard of public discourse. Rejecting violence and insisting on respect is not weakness, it's strength. The path forward is more communication, not less. We must see the humanity in one another, even when we disagree. Let this be a wake-up call. Choose words carefully, listen with empathy, and work to heal our divisions. Our shared future depends on it.